Update. The guy 22 male that I 21 female am dating is learning American Sign Language for my brother, but my friends think it's creepy. How do I proceed with this? Original post. I 21 female met John 22 male in a college class last semester. He's an overall great guy, and he's very respectful and kind. He also has a great sense of humor, and we have lots of similar interests. We've been friends since then, and we started dating in July. He's the first person I've ever dated in my life. Last September, he met my family when I visited home for my brother's birthday. My brother, Trav, 19 male, has been deaf since birth, so my whole family communicates with him either through sign language, Trav's lip reading, but we still just sign as a reflex, or through text. During our small celebration at home, it was clear that my parents liked John. He was very charming, funny, and respectful. He even tried to connect with Trav by typing some of his jokes for Trav to read, although my brother could lip read as well. Whenever John would tell a story, either I or my parents would sign for Trav. My parents said that they're happy that I've found a sweet and caring guy in John. Of course, I'm glad to hear this. Before we went back, John and Trav had a quick Call of Duty gaming session. For someone with Trav's condition, he is a really talkative guy, lol. He's very expressive and likes to communicate a lot, especially when gaming. Of course he couldn't outright trash talk, but he does the closest thing with his hands. So there we were in Trav's room, with John and Trav playing while I was translating for them. I was laughing way too hard, because Trav was trying his best to trash talk John, saying he's weak and trying to say all these expletives. But I was trying my best to tone it down for John. Meanwhile, I was also translating John's instructions and strategies for Trav. Also because this was the first time John met my family, he was saying all these phrases to Trav like good job or we can do better next time, although I know that deep inside, he also wanted to trash talk my brother. The two of them got along pretty well, and they've been having some online gaming sessions since then. 2 weeks ago, John visited home with me again for Mom's birthday. There, he surprised everyone, including me, by communicating with Trav through ASL. John was still at the alphabet, some basic words and some rehearsed phrases, but we were all delighted that he even made the effort. Trav's face lit up, and I've never seen him happier. Having a new long-term friend with low communication barriers. Apparently, John had been watching some YouTube tutorials and got a free subscription to Skillshare to learn ASL. The two of them had a gaming session again, and this time, John and Trav could communicate more directly. Of course, it was still kinda slow, and I still had to do some translating. Imagine trying to baby talk to a grown man or talking to a caveman with choppy sentences, lol. But I could tell Trav was having a great time. They also got more comfortable with each other with more explicit trash talking, which I didn't tone down this time. John has been religiously learning ASL since then. It is making a lot of progress. I was so happy with this, so I told my close friend group from high school. However, most of my friends, especially my closest guy friend, told me that what John was doing was a red flag, because it could be a form of obsession and emotional manipulation. He also said it was creepy because John's becoming too attached to my family, when we've only been dating for about 5 months. He also said that John might only be doing it so he could get laid or something. I know there's some validity to what my friend said, but I'm not really convinced. John has been a wonderful and sincere guy the entire time, and I know it's naive to say this because he's my first ever relationship, but I can see this becoming long-term. Yes, we haven't hooked up yet, because I told him I wasn't ready, and he never pressured me to do it. However, is his behavior something I should really be concerned about? Again, I don't have any experience with dating and relationships, so I don't know if this is something that's truly concerning. My friends are pushing for me to break up with John, but I'm not sure. How do I proceed with this? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Your friends are thieves of joy. A guy that likes you is going out of his way to learn how to communicate with your brother. That's adorable. Don't let your friends crap on that. They're also angry that is making them look bad. You have close friends you've known for years, and they never made the effort to learn some ASL to talk with your brother? Nice friends. This is it 100%. This isn't very different from a traveler spending time learning some basic phrases before they head to a country. It's considered considerate. John is a considerate person. OP's friends, less so. Yeah, this might be the first time that they say new guy over friends. Also, you've known this boyfriend as a friend before you dated him. Has he ever seemed like the type of person to play such a messed up long game? Or is he just a nice guy? If he's just a nice guy, the true problem is that your friends want to keep you at their level with other people who aren't nice. No, he's never done anything like that before. We were open about each other's dating lives, and he told me he's only had one ex-girlfriend who migrated to another country, so they couldn't make the relationship work anymore. We both have never been into casual hookups or dating apps. He's just a genuinely nice and good-looking guy who I vibed and clicked with. Now for the first update. First off, I wanted to thank everyone who gave their insights in my original post. As I said, I'm very new to relationships, so reading insights other than my inner circles was very eye-opening. To begin, many Redditors said that my high school friends are conniving, untrustworthy, and ableist people who never bothered learning ASL despite knowing me for a long time. I take accountability for this. I'm not saying they're blameless, but it's not entirely their fault. For some context, our family moved to our area when I was in senior high school due to my dad's job. The friend group, 2 guys plus 2 girls before I joined, was already tight when I came in. They then took me in after we got grouped together for a school project, and they've been with me since. We've been friends for about 4 years now. They're not exactly saints, but they helped me survive my senior year in one piece. They're fun to hang out with, and they were the support I needed when I was struggling. Also, during that time, my brother was having an especially hard time adjusting because of his disability, so my friends never really saw Trev a lot. To be clear, I was never ashamed of Trev. It's just that whenever my friends came over, he either locked himself in his room or was in a different area with his tutor and never really interacted with us. Whenever he did come out, he was really shy and awkward, so my friends mostly just got glimpses of him. By the time Trev became more comfortable in our area and found his own circle, my friends and I had already graduated from high school and didn't really hang out regularly anymore. They're friendly and polite with Trev, but then again, they never interacted enough to the point of them actually needing to learn ASL for him. Now for the update. Last week, my friend group had our year-end party and I decided to bring John along to meet the rest of my friends. My other friend in the group also brought his girlfriend, so this wasn't really weird. Others have done so in the past as well. I've commented in a previous post that John had only met my closest guy friend. I'll call him Mike, 21 male, so I wanted the rest of them to form their own opinions of John after they'd met him. Initially, there was some tension and awkwardness from my friend group toward John. They were a bit cold, and they were throwing some harsh remarks toward him. Eventually, though, they all warmed up to him and they were actually pleasantly surprised by his personality. We all got along well, and we even had fun in our games. However, I could tell that there was still awkward tension coming from Mike toward John and the rest of our group. He was throwing meaner jokes than usual, and he was kind of isolating himself from the activities. The day after the party, I had lunch with my closest girlfriend Sophie, 21 female, to clear the air because I could tell that they also sensed something was off. A lot of Redditors speculated that Mike had a crush on me and was jealous of my relationship with John. Turns out, you're all 10,000% correct, but it's a lot more complicated than that. Apparently, Mike has had a crush on me since our senior year of high school. However, he's known in our school as a notorious ladies' man and had a new girl with him almost every month. This got exponentially worse during college. He had different hookups almost every night, and he even had a pregnancy scare with a girl last year. I knew about all of this because he bragged about sleeping around every time we met up. What I didn't know was that the entire time Mike had been making up fake stories about me and him. Sophie told me that apparently, Mike and I had a pact that if we were both still single when we were 30, we'd marry each other. Also, he told our friend group that we hooked up after graduation and that he took my virginity then, so he's my special person, whatever that means. He also told them that we'd been secretly hooking up consistently throughout college, For context, Mike and I go to different universities that are just about 30 minutes apart. Lastly, Mike told him that I said I'm in love with him. He told our friends not to tell me anything, so I wouldn't get embarrassed or upset, since I have this image of being somewhat of a prude. Mike also told our friend group that when he met John, he thought John was a total jerk who had been manipulating me and taking advantage of my innocence and naivety. He said that John had been forcing himself into my family and was driving a wedge between me and my friends. Mike also said that after he had lunch with me and John, he tried to convince me to stay away from John because he's not a good influence on me, but John had effectively brainwashed me. This explains why my friend group was already so antagonistic toward John when I told them about him. For the record, none of what Mike said was true. There was no pact, we never hooked up, and I have never been in love with him. After that, Sophie and I asked the rest of our friend group, except Mike, to jump on a FaceTime call with us. They all shared different versions of what Mike told them. There were a lot more, but I disputed everything. We were all collectively shocked by everything that we learned that day. They apologized for their behavior toward me and John, and I told them I understood, given all the lies fed to them by Mike. Then everyone agreed to kick Mike out of the friend group. Sophie suggested that maybe we could have an intervention for Mike first, but I just said that I didn't want anything to do with him anymore. The rest of the group agreed, so we're essentially cutting him off. Sophie said she would still talk to him just to inform him of everything that happened, but I really just wanted to distance myself from him. Now, it's been a week of being Mike-free. Sophie said that when she and our other guy friend talked to Mike, he became extremely defensive, confrontational, and aggressive. He wasn't physically violent, but he called them names, attacked their characters, and made such awful statements about everyone in our friend group that I won't include here anymore. It looks like cutting him off completely was the right call. Now for some more uplifting updates. After reading everyone's comments on my previous post, I reflected on my relationship with John and my friends. I then talked to my parents for advice, since they have the best relationship I know of. They told me that from what they saw of John when he visited our home and how I spoke of him, it seems like he is a legitimately nice person with pure intentions. It also helps that John and I had been friends for months before we started dating, so I already knew his character even when there was less pretense of him trying to impress me. He is already impressive on his own, though, lol. I then told John about everything that happened and apologized, fully expecting him to be mad at me for doubting him and his intentions. Instead, he said he understood, because of course it was just natural for me to trust my friends and expect them to have my best interest at heart. He then asked me if there was any point in our relationship when I felt uncomfortable or uneasy around him, and I categorically said no. I told him that he's my safe space, and he has nothing to worry about. He then reassured me that his intentions with me are genuine, and he even said he sees a future with me, which I reciprocated. Then everyone agreed to kick Mike off the friend group. I believe this is called a mic drop. Don't let your friends off the hook. They chose to believe Mike without bothering to confirm anything with you. Yeah, during my lunch with Sophie, where we had a FaceTime call with our other friends, I confronted them as well about why no one bothered confirming anything with me. They apologized for everything, but I also understood why it was so easy for everyone to believe Mike's lies. Our group dynamic has always been that I'm closest to Mike. We live just 10 minutes away from each other, then Sophie, then the rest of the group. However, the four of them had been friends with each other for about 5 years before I joined. Before Mike became a ladies' man in high school, he was always a smart kid who was either first or second in class. Despite his personality, he was still a very credible person in their eyes. Adding to that, the number of years they've known each other, it's understandable why they blindly trusted everything he said about me. Second update. Just had lunch with the rest of my friend group. We all compared notes about Mike's lies. Apparently, he concocted extreme fantasies about every one of us. He had been stirring unnecessary drama for years. It even caused the breakup of one of our other friends with her then boyfriend. Mike also told them that apparently, I threatened to cut ties with our friend group if any of my secrets came out, which was why no one really confirmed anything with me. He also said I was having mental health issues because of it, but Mike said he was helping me out, so there was no need for them to be concerned. Now everything is clear to everyone, and we're all ready to move on from this. There's still a lot of processing to do, but at least we now know the truth. Last story. My wife's 35 female behavior towards dog feels unacceptable. Should this be a sign I, 33 male, should end it? My wife really wanted a dog a few years ago. I never wanted one. It was simply too much work, and I didn't see any value added to my life from it. But countless Instagram videos of cute dogs convinced her that it would be an amazing, happy thing. So she got one, getting me to tacitly agree to it. I can be a pushover. I agreed to do my best to train the dog, since she wasn't sure how to do that. And I tried, and several folks say our dog is well trained. While she got the dog, I gradually assumed primary ownership, not by choice, but simply because she couldn't handle him. I didn't mind that, but I do feel a little resentful that so much extra work was added due to her choice. My wife has frequently said she regrets getting the dog, and has even talked about rehoming him, but I never agreed to that because it's against my principles. He's a very energetic, greedy 5-year-old. He counter-surfs and steals food, and he chews on things, destroying toys and furniture. Today, my wife, who works from home, got frustrated after dealing with his behavior all day. When I came home, she began ranting to me, and soon it turned into screaming after the dog stole some food meant for our baby again. She was mad and wanted to punish him. She put him in his crate forcefully and then screamed that he needed to be rehomed. She even said that if she just told animal control that he bit her, they would euthanize him. Our dog never bites anyone out of anger, but when he's excited, he's occasionally jumped and grabbed our arms with his jaw, like a bite, and it can hurt. This is usually very predictable. It happens when we jump, dance, or run in the house. So for an hour, she screamed at him and screamed at me too, about how I didn't train him. I did what I could. How I wasn't at home and went to work for a crappy job that didn't pay enough. She said that before, and then clarified that she always means I could do so much better. I was constantly under stress. Even our 3-year-old son was stressed. The way she behaved with the dog is how she behaves with me frequently. It just so happens that the dog was at the receiving end today. Just based on this behavior, what are your thoughts on my wife as a person? Would you be forgiving and understanding of this? Or deem this entirely unacceptable? I'm asking about this situation, specifically because it doesn't really involve me. It's about her behavior with the dog. In our relationship, we've been through a lot of conflict. I'm suffering, but I can't process ending what we have for a few reasons. I have a 3-year-old and I am worried about not getting sufficient custody. I'm worried she will run away to her home country with a kid or harm herself. I'm worried about jobs, expenses, and responsibilities. And my wife, when she's not crazy, acts like she's sorry and never meant any of this. Now for the advice. The dog should probably get some more training. And your wife absolutely needs therapy. I worry for the day that your 3-year-old is on the receiving end. There's a significant chance that she's already screaming at their kid when OP isn't there. Agreed. OP, she's verbally abusive to you and your dog, and you've seen her be forceful. The beginning stages of physical abuse with your dog. When you say your 3-year-old is stressed, does that mean she has behaved or does behave this way in front of your child? If this is the case, I want to emphasize that your kid isn't just stressed. He's scared of his mother. And this is only what happens in front of you. Your wife needs therapy. Your dog deserves new owners who are invested in training. You both failed terribly with this. However, her behavior is terrible toward you and the dog.